Welcome back to the RC Workshop. And here we have a Traxxas Slash two-wheel drive. It's a Millennium 3S model. And the biggest complaint that the daughter is having is that the shock mounts keep popping off. So I've worked on this once before, and previously one of the threading came out on the upper shock mount. But the biggest challenge that we're having is with the lower shock mounts. I wasn't exactly sure what was going on, so they told me that they were having some challenges with it. They gave me both vehicles, came home, and first thing I did was I grabbed it and dropped it on the ground. When I did, one thing I noticed is that this lower shock mount, see, this probably popped off even. This lower shock mount here is able to pop off just by hand, and it twists. One of the things you may notice is that the bolt, the screw that holds this in is virtually the same size as the actual mounting bolt. So this plastic piece keeps popping off, causing the suspension to become disconnected, and once it does, you end up having one arm just kind of dragging on the ground. So a couple of solutions that you can actually do to correct that. One of the things you can do is if you were to get once you upgrade the lower A-arms to, say, RPM A-arms, that's what I have in my personal Traxxas Slash, the threading and the bolt when you thread them in do actually fit a lot more secure. That doesn't really solve the issue. That solves the issue of the screws coming out. Like if I were to get an aluminum shock tower, that would help. When I replaced the screw that came out the top, what I did was I heated it real hot, so when I threaded in, the nylon plastic was able to kind of melt and bond around the threading, and so far they haven't had any issues. So to prevent these shocks from popping off, I'll give you an example. This is probably the best example I can give. This here, if I were to just twist that, you'll see that this lower mount here, now it's stubborn. Oh, the shocks keep popping off. Now that I try to do it, it's not going to want to pop off. That's usually the case, right? There we go. So that one came off actually with relative ease. So the shock popped off. You'll see that the screw head is about the same size as the mounting point. So when you hit something hard, you hit a curb, you hit a rock, any obstacle, pops on, pops off. So what I'm going to do to help alleviate that problem with resources that we have here is I have this screw kit, which I'm going to use to replace, but I have these essentially like a sink washer. So it's kind of beveled. What it'll allow to happen is it won't take up too much space. But I can use one of these button heads on here. It's going to slide right in there, and if you notice, this blue ring is much larger. So by placing that blue ring over the threading when I put it in, it's going to keep this lower shock mount from actually popping off of the eye holder. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do, there's 4 of them. I have 4 of them in here, so let's go ahead and get started. It's going to be relatively easy. It's going to be 2 millimeters. So I'll just do both at the same time. See better. Both of these are at the top. And the kit here, I have replacements, so I'm going to use. And these are 20 millimeter top screws, so we'll just recess them there. And here you can see, now that this is larger, there isn't any way for this plastic nylon portion to pop off. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back into the hole that I pulled it out of. Now if you look, you can see that it's larger and there isn't any way for that threaded body to pop off. You know, it will require some regular maintenance, but it is a lot better. One of the things that you can do to help improve that situation, when you look at some of these rod ends that you'll find, there's a couple different styles. So you'll notice on this rod end, it's really skinny on that side, and it's a lot fatter on that side. Another option would be to replace these rod ends and use these type of rod ends in here. They could probably order some, and that might be something I'll suggest. But for now, we're going to go ahead and use them. So this is a solution for that. I'm going to go ahead and add the two on the other rear. We'll call it done. Thanks for joining the RC Workshop.